Alright, in this video we're going to talk about percent of a number. These end up being pretty simple multiplication with decimals problems. So we've got 40% of 80 as our first one. So 40% as a decimal is the number 0.4. That's what we want to remember. So now all we have to do to get 40% of 80 is we do 80 times 0.4. I'm going to set it up vertically. 80 times 0.4. Then we just do our multiplication. 4 times 0 is 0. Keep the 0 down there. 4 times 8 is 32. So I'm going to put 3, 2. And I just do my last step of decimal multiplication where I figure out how many numbers are behind the decimal point. Only 1. So I bump my decimal point over 1 and my answer is 32. Sometimes we have different decimals. So if you take a look at the next example here, we've got 25% of 50. So in 25% of 50, I have the decimal of 25%, which is 0.25. Alright, it's not 2.5, but it's 0.25. So I'm going to take 50, multiply that by 0.25. And again, this is simple decimal multiplication. So I take my last number on the bottom, 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. Then I've got a 2 here. I put a placeholder 0 because my 2 is moved one place value inward. But 2 times 0 is also 0. So I put another 0 down below. 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to make it 10 here. Then I just add my numbers together. So zeros. I've got a 5, a 2, and a 1. And my last thing I need to do is I need to take my decimal point in a certain number of places. So I've got 2 numbers after the decimal point. I'm going to go 1, 2, and my final answer is 12.5. Alright, the last example that I want to show you is what happens if our number we're finding is over the number that we need. So 140% of 60 is bigger than 60. So all I'm going to do there is I'm going to take 140 as a decimal, which is 1.4. That's a decimal that's bigger than 1, and that makes sense because 140 is bigger than 100%. So I'm going to take 60 times 1.4. 60 times 1.4, use our multiplication algorithm. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 6 is 24. Then we put a placeholder 0 when we start working with our 1. 1 times 0 is also 0. 1 times 6 is 6. Add these together. We get 4, 2 plus 6 is 8. And then finally we just move our decimal point. We have one number behind our decimal point in here. So we're going to move it 1 over this way and we get 84 as the answer.